So today, just as a quick thing, I thought I'd show you what's inside that box that I always use to make the videos. It's nothing but basic land. And this is a 5,000 card box, by the way. The commander of this Stax light deck is Marieki Riberit. She's an Esper commander, she's a 1/1, and she doesn't untap during your untap step. But when you tap her, you gain control of target creature as long as I control her, and when she leaves play or becomes untapped, I destroy that creature. So let's just start with the simple utility / quasi-fetch lands. Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, Winding Canyon to give stuff in my hand a little bit of flash, little surprise here or there. And Command Tower, just help with mana fixing. And these are my lands that produced pairs of colors and or just help with mana fixing. Orzhov, Dimir, Azorius colors. Alright, pretty simple, pretty basic. Not all that expensive. And then the basic lands for the deck, my style of trying to change it up, but I don't know, with Stax feeling slightly oppressive, I figured the feeling should be represented by repeat art styles here or there. So altogether, if you count it, that's 36 lands for the deck. Now I call this segment How Taxing. Each one of these increases the cost of spells my opponents play or gives them a choice of paying or sacrificing or receiving some sort of punishment for not paying. Non-creature spells, all of this affects me too a little bit. Like this one, non-creature spells cost 1 more to play, but in the end it hurts my opponent more, especially when these things stack together. Check it out. They either lose 2 life or pay more for a creature spell. And yeah, everybody hates this one, but it's in the 99, it's not the commander. Grand Arbiter Augustine IV. Very long name. Very... well, let's just call it snooty. But this is the last card in this because it transitions into the next segment. This is my tax cut portion, where this reduces the cost of my spells based on color predominantly. And even though it's an Esper deck, I don't have any black reduction. Not in any way, shape, or form, really, because black isn't a huge part of this deck. It's just a little bit of flavor. Rotten, maggoty flavor. Now, this segment of the deck is kind of the core of the strategy. I refer to it like the name of the deck. It takes 2 to tap dance. Each one has a tapping ability that affects the board or affects particular targets. So switching power and toughness, making a creature's power and toughness 0/2, instant death, even around indestructible creatures. Untap target artifact or creature, maybe gets me a blocker, takes control of something. Huh. Or, no, this is taking control. This one just taps it down. Ha! Sorry, I'm a little dyslexic today, apparently. This also gives me control based on the number of creatures I have. I get to untap another target permanent, or if it comes down to it, I can cycle it for a card draw and to untap instant speed. Alright. And this one allows me to untap multiple times, as long as it's during my turn. Now, this one over here, it just helps me search for a basic land and put it in my hand, but the reason it's in here is because of what it transforms into. Untap target attacking creature and opponent controls and remove it from combat. Helps slow them down. And this segment's the speed bump of the deck. Now, in some of these cases, because I'm not going to go over every single card right now, because it would take way too long. But as you can see, each individual one, it makes it harder for my opponents overall to keep a board state, or to pay to do anything, or even to accelerate their plan. And in some cases, it just deters them from doing anything. And also a little bit of life gain for me. And this is kind of that speed bump where any damage they take or life they lose, it doubles it, so it makes them afraid to try and do anything, paying for spells by paying with life, etc., etc., etc. And this segment is life gain into card draw, and with exquisite blood, especially with wound reflections, it keeps me in the game longer. And slowly but surely, I gain back the life I lose with this one. This one gives me a little bit of life and allows me to draw cards. Anything they target allows me to draw a card. Every creature I lose, I draw a card and take a damage, which kind of gets negated with this whole little segment right here. Ad nauseum, well, cost me a lot of life, but in the end, it can definitely be worth it. It's not a combo piece deck, but getting a few extra cards really quickly is definitely worth it. Here's a couple of search cards, Diabolic Tutor, Fabricate, and this is a group drawing. But if you remember that one Planeswalker from the last segment, it also means that they can't really draw extra cards. And then this is just a pseudo way to get cards in for free. And this is the last one because it transitioned to the next segment. Sacrifice a creature, I gain a life, and draw a card. And on to the next segment. This is a small segment. It's a small aristocrat package and extort package. They're here almost entirely to help me stay in the game longer and slowly drain them of life. And of course, anytime I lose a creature, it punishes them and gives me something. Now, this last segment here is miscellaneous. This one, it's just a really cheap direct loss of life engine in case they have stuff that prevents damage, and it's also devoid, so it gets around protection from certain colors, so on and so forth. This one, just because a good number of those planeswalkers you saw didn't really have any plus abilities, so anything I play helps keep them in the game longer. And these last two here are just different forms of recursion and reanimation. You saw a lot of weak creatures. Well, this brings them back pretty easily at the end of turn. And although I take damage from this one, I can bring back planeswalkers with it. And then the last two cards in this segment are just some alternate win cons. Technically, this game is going to go long with this deck. Stax tends to take longer. And you've seen this form of Jace. It's like Jace the Lab Maniac, essentially. And this one, depending on which artifact you saw that you might think is the best one for it, can, if the game goes long enough, give me an instant win condition. And if nothing else, it adds on to some of their taxes. So there we go. That's my It Takes Two to Tap Dance deck. Lots of slowing down and slight benefits for me. So by pure definition, it's a Stax deck, but it isn't really, not the way that people play it in the game today. So it's Stax Light. Takes Two to Tap Dance. Tell me what you think. And I know the artwork sucks because it's not exactly perfect here, but it was a different era.